Pretty good day for you, Doug?
Oh, yeah, it was very exciting. No, it was great. You know, the last few days have been interesting because I talked to Michael. I knew he was very close to getting this done. I haven't seen him much. The last time I really saw him play was in July. I saw him 8 weeks ago in our rookie camp for 2 days. And then we broke camp, and I went back to Arizona and spent about 6 weeks there. And I did see him about 2 weeks ago. And the coaching staff and all, we saw him in the weight room. He's in there lifting weights. And there was an energy and excitement about him that I knew that he was happy the way his training was going and the way he was playing. So I sort of felt like 2 weeks ago when I saw him that I thought he was going to play then.
What does it mean to the Wizards? What's it mean to the NBA?
Well, I mean, we'll see how fast the 23 Wizards jersey becomes the #1 selling jersey here in the NBA. Probably it will start today. But, you know, I've been listening a little bit to the TV, and you hear so many negative things being said. And I know Michael's probably sitting back, and this just motivates him even more. I've never been around a guy like him ever. He loves competition. He does love to play. I don't know where it started that Michael is going to retard our young players' growth. I think he's going to help our young players' growth. I can only see him on the floor every day working in drills with our younger players and showing on a daily basis what it takes to be a champion in this business, that's going to help our players. I don't think in any way that can hold back them and their development. So I think this is all positive. I think it's great for the city of Washington, the energy that this will bring about. And you know, it'll be good to see Michael, I know, just to see him out on the floor and doing what he loves to do. He loves to play basketball.
Going into training camp, you know this guy's 38 years old. Are you going to try and push him, you know, the way you probably pushed him 10, 12 years ago when you coached him? Are you going to have to kind of gauge it and see if he needs to be paced, or how is that going to be handled?
Well, it's interesting. The last time in July when we were on the way to rookie camp, you know, Michael, we were talking a little bit, and I said to Michael, I said, now, Michael, you know, if you do play, you know, you're going to have to let me know on a daily basis how you feel and, you know, how much you want to practice and what you want to do so we can, you know, make sure that, you know, we don't wear you down in practice, so you'll keep your energy up and you'll be able to be strong the entire season. And he looked at me and he goes, you know, I expect you to motivate me to get to run that extra line and do those extra things. He said, I'm 38 years old now, and maybe things that would have come easier for me before, I'm going to need you to push me a little bit. So I felt very good that he wants to work exceptionally hard every day. Now in rookie camp, not in rookie camp, but I mean in training camp, he'll only go once a day, you know, and there's no need for him to go twice a day. I mean, we're going to obviously build. And so I'll talk to him about exactly how he wants to handle that. My guess would be he would probably go the evening sessions where we do more of our scrimmaging and maybe watch the morning sessions when we're doing a lot of our teaching. Yep. But I expect him to, you know, to practice every day and do the things he's always done. The one thing about Michael Jordan, you don't have to motivate him. This is one of the most self-driven human beings I've ever been around in my entire life.
What position do you envision him playing, and how do you envision him?
Roscoe, I think Michael will play all three perimeter spots. I think that, you know, we've got a lot of different teams that we can throw out on the floor now. I think the addition of Tyronn Lue is going to give us a team that can really push the ball, and we can get the ball up the floor quickly. We can put shooters on the floor. I think if you look at in our backcourt, you know, Chris Whitney's an excellent shooter. Tyronn Lue, I think, is a very underrated shooter. We got Courtney, Rip, Hubert Davis, so I think we have guys that can shoot the ball. I could foresee going to a bigger backcourt, you know, where you have some bigger guys, you know, maybe late in the game. I could see Rip and Courtney and Michael all being in the game together. So I think it gives me a lot of different things I could do. I could see him playing a little point guard. I know he's going to play some small forward. I know he could play the two guard. So I think he'll play all perimeter positions. I might even go to a small line and play some zone and hide him back there on the back line somewhere. We'll see.
Doug, how tough will losing be on? He hasn't been on a team with a losing record in about 15 years or so.
I think the last time was my first year in Chicago. We won 40 games. We went from 30 to 40, and from that on Michael's never tasted losing, and everything has been up. You know what? It's Michael never talks about that. I mean, I don't think that that's something he dwells on. I think his big thing is in coming to Washington, he is doing everything he possibly can to try to make this one of the elite franchises in the NBA once again. And I think he feels like that in playing right now is going to help.
All right, that's Doug Collins, the old and new head coach of Michael Jordan, now the coach of the Washington Wizards. He was Jordan's coach for a long time in Chicago before being fired after the 1989 playoff run in what was then a surprise, but that's obviously ancient history now. We look to the future with the gentlemen who've been with us throughout the afternoon. David Aldridge in Washington, your final thoughts on this day, which I suppose we will look back on for a long time.
Well, I think it's an amazing day. Even though it wasn't a surprise, it's still kind of a shock to the system that this has actually happened. But I think we need to take one thing into consideration. This is a guy who has constantly exceeded all of our expectations. He was always a little bit better than we thought. He always had a little bit more than we thought he could give. And he always made something happen. And for all of those reasons and all the things that he's given all of us over the years, I think we should suspend a little bit of the real desire and the natural desire to kind of compare and contrast to what he used to be. He has earned the right, I think, to be whatever he is at 38 years old. And if that means he's a step slower and he's not quite as quick off the floor and they lose a few more games than he's lost before, I think he's earned that right to go out and figure out whatever it is he needs to do to figure out. I know that he's not going to win a championship. I'm sure he knows that too. But let's just watch it and see what happens.
I have no problem with Michael deciding to come back and play. My question is exactly what is he going to be? And, he's adding some spice and some intrigue to the season, and certainly there's never anything wrong with that. Ultimately, I'll be curious to see what he's like in February and March when this team's not in the playoffs, when he may be struggling with injuries and fatigue, and that I have some mixed feelings about. But ultimately, Mike, welcome back.
Rick, I have sent my heart out to the people in Washington, and because of all the sadness that they've undergone, and that a happy day is here for them. Michael Jordan is back, and of course, I'm happy for Abe Pollin. I once worked for him as a Bullet, and my hat goes off to you, Michael.
All right, a terrific job by all three of you today. Thank you so much for being with us throughout the afternoon, and thanks to you for watching when we continue SportsCenter on ESPN and regular ESPN news programming on ESPN News. But we leave you this evening with the sights and sounds of the great Michael Jordan.
What consumed me was being the best basketball player I could be.
Jordan. Oh, boy. 63 points, and you're looking at an all-time record.
Jordan scored 63 on the Celtics, and that's something I don't think anybody could possibly do.
Michael Jordan is Michael Jordan, and he's exactly what's happening right now.
What a great shot.
He knew he couldn't keep me at home.
From high above the rim.
I didn't know what to do. I was kind of searching in the stands to find something to do, and I found the guy who got this all started. Dr. J was over there in the box seats, and he told me to go back and take off from the free throw line.
Michael Jordan wins the slam dunk event here in Chicago.
He's off the scale. I'm not sure people really know how good this guy is.
Jordan on the drive, right of the lane, 18-footer. Yeah!
Here's Michael at the foul line. A shot on Elo. Good! The Bulls win! They win!
On the drive against Bennett, pull-up jumper out front, book it.
Man.
Michael drives Elo baseline, fadeaway jumper, book it.
Man.
Michael with 69.
There's just nobody like him. If he didn't dunk a basketball, he would be as great as anyone that ever played this game.
Detroit will calm you down. They'll work the play. Steal. He kept it in bounds. Here it is again. Oh!
The Pistons with the indication that it is all over. A great run has come to a close.
I had the opportunity to play against one of the greatest of all time.
It has been a spectacular evening here at Chicago Stadium for Michael Jordan.
I've never shown my emotions publicly like this, but it's been boiling inside of me for 7 years. Well, I'm gonna be drunk before I even drink anything.
Michael Jordan does the things that we all just dream about.
Jordan with the steal! And then it's stolen by
I started running to that three-point line. I felt a great rhythm. It felt like a free throw, really.
This guy's the best defensive player in the league. He's the best offensive player, and he's the best competitor.
Jordan, 50 points.
I won't miss the cheers because it was there. It was there. I can remember those things, but I don't need it to live. When I was down in the minor leagues, every guy wanted to play me in basketball. Can he do the same things that he did 2 years ago? That's simple.
Jordan for the win. Yes! He did it again! He is now back!
Was there added significance winning the title on Father's Day?
Yes, it's a big significance. I mean, knowing that this is dedicated to my father, and it happens to be Father's Day, and my heart was really heavy today, and I had a tough time really focusing.
Jordan's putting moves on Russell. We're down to 2, now to 1. Here's Jordan. He is suffering from flu-like symptoms.
I really felt like I was on death's bed.
38 points for the King. This will go down as one of the extraordinary playoff performances in the history of the NBA. Michael in traffic to Curl. 15 minutes. Bulls are going to win the NBA championship again. They do it. The drive for 5.
We're entitled to defend what we have until we lose it.
Stockton inside of Carmelo. They double it. Jordan knocks it away from him. Jordan's got it. The Bulls can win it right here. The Bulls can win it. Unbelievable. Michael against Russell. 12 seconds. 11. 10. Jordan. Jordan a drive. Hangs. Fires. Scores! He scores!
I think it's the best performance ever I've seen of Michael Jordan in a critical game, in a critical situation to win a series.
Did you feel old out there at any time?
No.
Michael against Russell, 12 seconds. 11, 10, Jordan a drive, hangs, fires, scores! He scores! The Bulls are the world champs again! Oh my word, who would have thunk it?
That was Michael Jordan's last NBA shot. It won him his 6th title, and now he's all set to reload and push off on Brian Russell when necessary.
Well, Kenny, he always did what was necessary, and that's important. You know, in April of 1999 of this year, Michael Jordan said he was 99.9% sure he wasn't coming back, and apparently that 0.1% was all that really mattered, along with that little matter of figuring out his marketing rights. This afternoon, the obvious became reality. Michael Jordan is back. Today, he faxed his announcement to the world and signed a 2-year contract. He'll begin his 3rd NBA career this fall as a member of the Washington Wizards. In its simplest terms, his comeback means this. At the age of 38, Jordan, arguably the greatest to ever suit up in the NBA, will try and transform a laughingstock franchise into a respectable one. Jordan says he'll donate his entire $1 million salary for the season to relief agencies helping with the terrorist attacks on September 11th. And chew on this nugget. Jordan has never missed the playoffs in his 13 years with the Bulls. The Wizards have not won a single playoff game in 13 years. As we said, Jordan made the announcement by releasing this statement through his management agency. Quote, "I am returning as a player to the game I love because during the last year and a half I enjoyed working with and sharing with our players." He also added, "I feel there is no better way to teach young players than to be on the court with them as a fellow player in actual NBA games." Jordan won't comment again until camp opens next Monday. Others aren't waiting.
I think it's good because Mike is ready. I've been playing with him a little bit, and he's in shape, looking real good. Of course, everybody loses a step a little bit, but Mike knows how to play the game. He can play defense. It's going to be good. I can't wait to see him play.
I'm sure the other players in this league would love to play against him, to love to be able to play against the best, and he is the best, so the stakes are higher, the competition should be better, but more importantly, I think everyone that plays in this game or has played professionally, whatever sport it may be, understands they want to beat the best, and he is the best, so he's giving them free reign, if you will, to come out and challenge the best, and let's go and let's get after it.
He's looking good. He can still hit the jump shot, the fadeaway, and of course he's going to bring hard. Everybody knows that, so I mean, it's going to be fun just to watch him.
Well, durability will be a big question for MJ in his returning to play. Since the 85-86 season when he missed 64 games with a broken foot, Jordan has missed only 7 non-retirement games. He currently has a streak of 287 straight regular season games. He last missed a game way back in 1993 against San Antonio with an infection in his left foots. Or his left foot. All right, what to make of all this? ESPN's David Aldridge joins us now live from the ESPN zone. And David, there are so many things to analyze, so many things to look at. Let's start with the obvious. Hasn't played in 3 years, he's 38. The guys that he's been working out with say he looks great, but how will that translate into actual games?
Well, I think he's still going to be very effective as a post-up player. He can shoot the ball, he can get to the foul line, he shoots 80% from there. Offensively, I think he will be, if not a 30-point scorer, he'll be in the mid-20s. I'm sure that's not going to be a problem for him. The question, I think, is defensively with him at this stage of his career. If he plays small forward, he's going to have to guard the likes of McGrady and Vince Carter and Glenn Robinson and Tim Thomas. The East is loaded with small forwards who really know how to play and really know how to score. He does not have Scottie Pippen with him. He does not have Dennis Rodman with him. He does not have Horace Grant with him. So defensively, I think that's going to be the biggest area. But two things. Number one, Doug Collins is an excellent coach. He'll figure out ways to utilize Michael Jordan and figure out ways to protect him defensively. And second, with this young team, I think they're much more impressionable and much more willing to listen to a guy like Jordan than veteran players who were on the Wizards roster last season.
Well, he certainly will grab their attention, no question. He commands automatic respect. We'll talk about this later in the show a little bit, but what about the rule changes? Some are saying that'll hurt Jordan because it's now a 5-on-5 game instead of a 1-on-1 situation. Others saying no, with his ability to hand check now, the strength that he has could really help him. What do you see?
Offensively, I think Michael Jordan was always a very, I should say he became a very unselfish player. He'll give the ball up. He'll pass the ball to the open man. So if he gets double teamed, if they play zones, he'll find the open guy. Defensively, with his ability to use the arm bar against point guards or small forwards, that will help him. And again, he can be hidden in zone defenses. He's going to get help from teammates in that regard. So the one question is, if he does bring the ball up against pressure, will teams press him in the backcourt, make him give the ball up? I think certainly in the front court, they're going to double team him, they're going to run at him, and make other guys on that Wizards team beat him.
And David, obviously, he has changed his mind dramatically inside of a year, saying he wasn't going to come back. I mean, the easiest answer to why he's coming back is because he can, but why do you think he's decided now to make another run at this, really?
Well, again, I think everybody has some pet theory like this is, the Kennedy assassination or something. I think it's very simple. This is a guy that loves to play basketball, and he plays basketball better than he does anything else, even though I think he was starting to become a very good and very savvy executive. And it's the one thing that lights him up more than anything else. When you're as good as he was, it's awful hard to find something else that gives you that kind of rush, I think. And I think from that standpoint, he loves to play, and I think he realizes that he could still play at a high level. The workouts this summer in Chicago, I think, convinced him that he could still compete. I think he knows he's not going to win as much as he did in Chicago. He doesn't have the teammates or the background that he had there, but he can still be a very effective player. And for these young guys, he can still be a great teacher to people like Kwame Brown and Rip Hamilton.
Well, if nothing else, Wizards games certainly just got a lot more interesting. David, thanks very much.
All right.
Well, this Doug Collins guy is some kind of recruiter, just barely on the job for a few months. He's already signed up the guy many believe is the best player ever. Now, Jordan was the one who brought in Collins. They now depart from the original plan. They'll work together in another way. These were the comments from Coach Collins just received about an hour ago. Michael Jordan to give a coach a relaxed look. If you want to board a hippie bus and travel America watching each and every one of Mike's games, get set first for New York City. The Garden is where Jordan's return will take place October 30th. There's some company on the TV that night. It'll be Game 3 of a thing called the World Series. On January 19, Jordan will make his return to Chicago to play the Bulls. Old friends will call out to him saying things such as, "Hi, Mike." He won't play against Phil Jackson and the Lakers until February. Wizards basketball. Jordan's return is a highly celebrated event, but the reality of how his team will be impacted is underwhelming. Stuart Scott, you all.
He moves outside to Prophet. Three-pointer for Prophet, no. Rebound Alexander, no. Rebound, Muhammad has it.
Scottie Pippen? Not quite. Dennis Rodman? Maybe in the future, but not just yet. Ron Harper? Please.
This is not a team that's going to win right away. And I think Michael is well aware of that. His objective is going to be to make them better. And his presence alone will do that.
Michael Jordan's last team with the Bulls featured a supporting cast that boasted a combined 9 All-Star appearances and 38 championship rings. Washington's 2001 version of the Jordan Airs, 1 All-Star game, 2 rings.
When he was with the Bulls, they knew they were good. They knew they were a championship caliber team, and that was their objective. The objective for Michael with this team, make the playoffs if we can. Be a huge jump. Go from 19 wins to probably 40 wins that it would take to make the playoffs. That's a huge increase.
Jordan has been quoted as saying that to do just that, just make the playoffs, is sometimes like winning the championship. To achieve that goal with an inexperienced Wizards lineup, Jordan's ability to raise the level of his teammates' play will be severely tested.
I refer back to the experience in Chicago where, you know, players like Steve Kerr and Bill Wennington, who were, you know, kind of journeyman players, all were better playing with Michael Jordan. And I think the same thing will happen in Washington. Jahidi White and Christian Laettner, Chris Whitney, Richard Hamilton, Courtney Alexander. These are guys who have some ability and pretty good ability, but it's going to be better with Michael Jordan.
I don't think he'll like the losing. I think he'll hate that, but I think he will love to see a younger player improve his basketball playing abilities and become a winner because of Michael Jordan's effect on him. I think he could be that kind of Obi-Wan Kenobi kind of guy in the NBA. And, you know, it seems after your moment is gone, a lot of our great leaders in that love to become teachers. How about Michael Jordan, the teacher?
While Jordan seems ready to take on this role of mentor, the question that remains is, are the young Wizards up for the challenge of playing with possibly the most demanding teammate who ever stepped on a basketball court?
Michael will put the pressure on them. You can count on that. And it's up to them to be able to absorb that pressure and benefit from it. Michael has ridden some guys right out of the league because they couldn't take it. So he will be very demanding, and if they can't handle that, they're not going to make it with him.
Stuart Scott on that story. ESPN.com is the place to get all of your Jordan news. That is, when you're not getting it here. On the ESPN site, you can see, among other things, the festive Jordan Returnometer. It accurately measures the public's pulse relative to Mike's return. It also takes cholesterol levels, but...
On 19 games last year, his love's going to be tested, and he knows that. Although he will not entertain questions until next Monday, he briefly explained his intentions today, writing about the opportunity to teach his young players and help them elevate their games to a higher level. He says there's not a better way of teaching than to be on the court during actual NBA games. It will be a 2-year deal with the Wizards for the veteran minimum of $1 million per, and he's going to donate this year's entire salary to the relief efforts surrounding the terrorist attacks. Jordan's going to make his regular season debut October 30th against the Knicks at Madison Square Garden. NBA Commissioner David Stern released a statement of his own today, quote, "I am happy to welcome Michael Jordan, the player, back to the NBA, although as commissioner, I'm sorry to lose him in the boardroom. Michael has always brought joy to basketball fans around the world, and in these difficult times, we can all use a little more joy in our lives." Well, hear, hear. Jordan added today, quote, "Nothing can take away from the past, but I am focused on the future," and Ann Werner's in Chicago, home of the past. And Chicago fans always side with Jordan over the franchise, it seems, but still, this has got to be odd for everyone involved.
It is going to be different to see Michael Jordan in anything other than the red and black. Now, I am outside Hoops, the gym in Chicago, and this is where an assortment of NBA players have been coming all summer long to work out with Jordan. Guys like Juwan Howard, Michael Finley, Bobby Simmons, and Antoine Walker. Also, Bobby Hansen, a member of the Bulls' 1992 championship team. Hansen said he started shooting around here with Jordan back in January, and at that point, Jordan was just talking about losing weight so he could fit in his suits. Well, today, some Bulls front office and former teammates weighed in on Jordan's comeback.
I think people are going to expect him to be Michael, and whether that's realistic or not, no one knows. But I think I think the thing that's always drawn a lot of us to Michael is his willingness to take chances and to lay a lot on the line. I mean, he's done it several times before, and you know, I think it's great for the game.
If this is what Michael wants to do, and obviously it is, I'm very happy for him. I don't understand, you know, all the commotion, why people have a position, I'm for it, I'm against it. If he wants to do it, why shouldn't he be able to do it?
His outside shot actually was better than it was, I think, from when he left the game. Now, his conditioning, I think, has caught up with him now this summer. So he's gotten better, but he's stronger. Working with Tim Grover, he's gotten tremendously strong. He posted up. Nobody could stop him inside. So, you know, I think you're going to see the same Michael Jordan with a few, you know, tweaks in there that he's going to change his game. They're going to have to guard him down in the post. He's going to open the floor up. They're going to get slashers on the wings like the Scottie Pippins of the world, and he's going to certainly be a lot better than people give him credit for, I think.
Now, Hansen said the other thing that will be the same about Michael Jordan, his competitive drive, his absolute will to win. And, of course, Chris, that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out as he goes to a team that only won 19 games last season.
Also be interesting to watch that will to win on January 19th, Ann. First game in Chicago.
Big date at the United Center.
Thanks a lot, Ann. Meanwhile, the reigning MVP had surgery today to remove bone fragments from his right elbow. Is out for at least a month, putting him right up against the team's opener.
Lead the Bulls to their second straight three-peat in the NBA, but that was a younger MJ on a much better team. This comeback really can't be compared to his last return, but where could it stand in relation to other historic sports repeats?
Feel that this is such a big deal, not from the standpoint of we're going to see Michael Jordan play again, but there are so many people out there who talk as though they don't want this to happen.
Well, I think those people treasure their own personal memories, and many of them are old enough to remember Willie Mays coming to New York with the Mets where it didn't work. In Michael Jordan's case, he's been out of the game for a few years, yes, but he was the greatest player of all time. I believe coming back now, he will still be somewhere in the top 10.
I got to believe, see, I think I'm in the minority with a lot of people. I think it's great he's coming back. He's been out for 3.5, 4 years, all right? He's a young 38 because of that. He's also, if he had continued to play along the years, he would still be one of the best in the game.
He ought to take a look at Pete Sampras's U.S. Open, because I think that's exactly what the rest of his career is going to be like. I think there's going to be moments of brilliance. I think there's going to be moments where everybody swoons and said, oh, he's back, he's better than ever. And then he ought to go take a look at the final against Leighton Hewitt and see what young legs do to old legs, and even old legs that belong to old legends.
You wouldn't take the first 5 rounds of that U.S. Open?
No, I'm going to tell you. See? You know what? Here's the deal.
There are certain players he's not as good as.
This is going to end unhappily. Well, he doesn't think it is.
For who?
For him. It's not going to meet his own expectations.
Him coming back is the ultimate certification that the game has survived without him, because he will not even be close to what he was in the game when he took that last magical shot. And the McGrady's and all the young Turks that are out there now, coming off a tremendous NBA playoff series capped by a great Sixers-Lakers final, is going to make him passé.
I think you're missing the point. He likes to play basketball.
I'm not
he's the greatest ever, and if he wants to go to the last drop, that's okay
Tony,
with me.
I'm not.
Because I'm going to try and keep writing.
No.
What about Mario Lemieux?
You're
You've got a perfect example right there of a guy who can come back.
He missed a point. Hold on. No, this isn't a referendum on whether or not he has a right to play. It's really not. I just don't want him to tell me that this is for the kids now, which he's tried to do. He's, you know, what's so wrong? But he doesn't say that. When this first was announced, clearly he was planning to do this. He was 99% certain. He wants this to be on his terms. And guess what? You know whose terms it's going to be on? Vince Carter's terms, Tracy McGrady's terms.
That's on the court. Until they step on the court, it's on his terms. And he's coming back, I think there's only one reason. It's not because the Wizards are going to win a championship, because they're not. It's not because he needs any more statistics, because he's the greatest ever. It's because he actually likes to play. I'm for that.
Simple? Well, then what, is there a YMCA in your neighborhood?
No, but no, you play, no. That's the highest level. That's ridiculous. You go to the highest level and you keep playing until you can't play anymore.
Answer the question about Mario Lemieux, though. We have seen it happen. Recent history, last year, a guy come back after being out 3.5 years and dominate the game.
He had to retire. He had Hodgkin's disease. This guy's retired.
He came back on the absolute top of his game.
John, he retired voluntarily twice, okay? And now he's clearly decided, yes, he loves the game. Also, he needs to be Michael Jordan. All I'm saying is he's not going to be Michael Jordan. There'll be nights when he is. He wants us to look at this on his terms. He keeps saying, I won, they can't take my titles away. Nobody's going to take his titles away. But if he doesn't think our vision of this Michael Jordan is going to get in the way when we remember that Michael Jordan, he's not.
Let's speak to that point for a second. Muhammad Ali, losing to Larry Holmes, losing to Trevor Berbick, I remember them because I'm a sports writer, but when I think of Muhammad Ali, even now, I think of him at his greatest, and I will think of Michael Jordan whenever it ends.
You don't think
at
he
his
diminished
greatest.
At the home fight, Tone.
I was at the home fight. I was at it, and I have blocked it out of my mind to the degree that I remember him at the top of his game, and I think with the magic of videotape, that's how we'll always see Michael Jordan.
I'll block out Willie Mays falling down, too. If you'll block out the Holmes fight,
Okay,
I'll
let me just
block
ask
out
you
Willie Mays.
guys this, all right? There's a consensus here, or at least we've got two opinions one way to the other, whether or not he should come back. What about for the league as a whole? Is it good, bad for the NBA?
I don't think they need him, and I think he's going to find out that they don't need him. This league moved on with the Philadelphia 76ers, LA Lakers series. I believe it had been rocky until then. I think it had gone through a great period of adjustment without him. This announcement, if it had come a year ago, would have been so much bigger. Now, I'm telling you, this to me is the most anticlimactic announcement, the way he's played it out, till the one we get from Martin Sheen that his character is going to run for another term on West Wing. Duh.
All right, regardless of the case, I think, as Michael said, for some of the kids, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch Michael Jordan play again. For the young players in the league, it'll be fun to play against him.
They're going to kick his butt.
Right now, back to SportsCenter.
Thanks, guys, and thanks, Mike, for those unsolicited opinions. Hey, so is Michael Jordan's return for the NBA good or bad? Jordan.
Get his name right.
He's gone so long I can't even remember his name. It's a yes or no question.
Yeah.
Almost 50,000 people voted. 70% say yes, 30% say no. What do you think?
Third place for undecided. I'm with it.
You're with it?
Good for the league.
All right, we'll see.
He's the escort to the future.
Sure he is. They're driving without him. Still up as we look towards Jordan's future playing. We'll glance back at what he's already done. It piqued our interest.
The rim.
I didn't know what to do. I was kind of searching in the stands to find something to do, and I found the guy who got this all started. Dr. J was over there in the box seats, and he told me to go back and take off from the free throw line.
Michael Jordan wins the slam dunk event here in Chicago.
He's off the scale. I'm not sure people really know how good this guy is.
Here's Michael at the foul line. A shot on Elo. Good! The Bulls win! They win!
On the drive against Bennett, pull-up jumper out front, book it.
Man.
Michael drives Elo baseline, fadeaway jumper, book it.
Man.
Michael with 69.
There's just nobody like him. If he didn't dunk a basketball, he would be as great as anyone that ever played this game.
Detroit will calm you down. They'll work their plays. Steal. He cuts it in bounds. Here it is again. Oh! The Pistons with the indication that it is all over. A great run has come to a close.
I had the opportunity to play against one of the greatest of all time.
It has been a spectacular evening here at Chicago Stadium for Michael Jordan.
I've never shown my emotions publicly like this, but it's been boiling inside of me for 7 years. Boy, I'm gonna be drunk before I even get anything.
Michael Jordan does the things that we all just dream about.
Jordan with the steal! And then it's stolen by Starks. McDaniel chased by Jordan. It's a clean block. Whose game is it? It's Michael Jordan's game. Jordan for three. He is hot. Woo!
I started running for that three-point line. I felt a great rhythm. It felt like a free throw, really.
This guy's the best defensive player in the league. He's the best offensive player, and he's the best competitor.
Jordan, 50 points.
I won't miss the cheers because it was there. It was there. I can remember those things, but I don't need it to live. When I was down in the minor leagues, every guy wanted to play me in basketball. Can he do the same things that he did 2 years ago? That's simple.
Jordan for the win. Yes! He did it again! He is now back!
Was there added significance winning the title on Father's Day?
Yes.
is a big significance. I mean, knowing that this is dedicated to my father, and it happens to be Father's Day, and you know, my heart was really heavy today, and I had a tough time really focusing.
Jordan putting moves on Russell. We're down to 2. Now to 1. Here's Jordan. He is suffering from flu-like symptoms.
I really felt like I was on death's bed.
38 points for the King. This will go down as one of the extraordinary playoff performances in the history of the NBA. Michael in traffic to Curl. 15 footers. Wolves are going to win the NBA championship again. They do it. The drive for 5.
We're entitled to defend what we have until we lose it.
Stockton inside of Carmelo. They double it. Jordan knocks it away from him. Jordan's got it. The Bulls can win it right here. The Bulls can win it. Unbelievable. Michael against Russell. 12 seconds. 11. 10. Jordan. Jordan a drive. Hangs. Fires. Scores! He scores!
I think it's the best performance ever I've seen of Michael Jordan in a critical game, in a critical situation to win a series.
Did you feel old out there at any time?
No.
Michael Jordan back in play. When our show concludes, Outside the Lines begins. Bob Lee's station just outside the city, not far from what remains of the World Trade Center. The whole world was impacted September 11th, even the sports world. Outside the Lines in just a few minutes.
Stay tuned, because here's what's ahead on ESPN tonight. Coming up, Outside the Lines, then PBA Bowling, followed by Baseball Tonight and Sports Center at 11 on ESPN tonight.